The speaker name that gave her away, the night Spotify spelled the room number at 9:41 p.m. The music on our living room sono stopped mid-chorus, and a banner popped up on my phone. Playback started on another device. I tapped the little TV and speaker icon to see who had stolen our playlist. A list slid up with cheerful indifference. Living room, kitchen, and then one I'd never seen, Lark 1206 Sonos ***. I stared at the name until the numbers stopped being numbers and became a hallway. Lark was a hotel a few stops away, the one with the brass birds and the kind of carpet that makes your shoes behave. I tapped again. A line appeared on the bottom. Listening on Lark 1206 Sonos, red right-hand asterisk. The album art glowed like a dare. Eva and I share the Spotify account the way we share a grocery list and an umbrella, sloppily and with good intentions. She left an hour earlier for late coffee with Lena, the kind of plan that claims a table and doesn't apologize for staying too long. She kissed me with the efficiency of a person already using the elevator in her head and promised to bring home milk if the store was still open. The store closed at 9. I could have texted her a joke about her musical choices. I could have turned the music back to our living room, rude and triumphant. Instead, I sat on the arm of the couch and let the room practice quiet while the screen practiced telling the truth. Lark 1206 Sonos kept playing. The next track came up, something French and lighter, a song we once called Two Glasses of Wine on a Balcony, because we didn't know its name and didn't need to. I changed shirts and put on the jacket with useful pockets, the one that always finds the car keys even when my hands pretend not to. In the elevator, a neighbor nodded the way people nod when they don't want to be drafted into your evening. On the street, the city had that post-strange shine that makes even bad ideas look photogenic. I drove without the radio. All the sounds I needed were happening behind my ribs. Lark's awning had decided to be gold tonight. The doorman held the door with the unearned confidence of men who have never had to choose the right sentence under pressure. I nodded at him and aimed for the elevators, past the line of brass birds that the design team thought would be charming, and which actually just looked like they were eavesdropping. On the 12th floor, the carpet thickened like money. The sconces hummed minute electricity. 1,200, 1,208 to the left, 1,209, 1,216 to the right. I went left. Outside 12:06, I paused and pressed my thumb against the seam of the door the way you touch a book for luck. My phone vibrated again. The device list refreshed itself. Someone had changed the song. I put a spell on you. I almost laughed from somewhere impolite. I didn't knock. I'm not that kind of brave and I'm not that kind of fool. Instead, I sent a text that could pass for neutral if you didn't hold it under a bright light. Milk. Or is the store closed? The message sat on delivered for exactly the duration it takes to pick an adjective for a lie. Then, closed. I can grab it in the morning. You okay? I will be, I typed and immediately regretted the future tense. Then I added, listen to the birds for me because the brass birds in the Lark's lobby had once made her laugh and I didn't want the next thing I said to be a trap. She replied with a heart I didn't trust and then, 2 minutes, back soon. It wasn't an answer. It was a weather report. There's always a balcony. This floor's version was a little rectangle of air at the end of the hall, a place for smokers and people who couldn't find their sentences indoors. I stood there and watched the city practice its reflections, and after I said, 30 days, no permanent decisions after 9. 2 nights a week we leave the house to be idiots on purpose, cheap if we have to, brave if we can. Phones boring. All shared software reviewed for embedded ghosts. New playlist every Thursday that only we can add to, and we have to listen to it together before bed even if we hate track 4. She laughed, and it was the laugh I've been trying to make permanent since we were 23. I like ugly plans, she said. What else? Therapy, I said, both of us, not because we're fascinating, because we're messy. And tell me when you're bored the second you're bored, not after you've learned the lobby by heart. Yes, she said, then quieter, and I want you to be loud. Not cruel, wanting loud. I need to hear you like I'm music you put on without a room number. Deal, I said, and the word did something good to the air. We didn't stop for milk. We went home and made tea because our bodies needed heat that wasn't manufactured by shame. We sat on the kitchen floor, chairs were too ceremonial, and wrote a list on the back of an electricity bill because our vows apparently prefer recycled paper. Thursdays, hours. No decisions after 9. Phones boring on purpose. Playlist before bed. Bench by the river when the weather pretends Paris. Tell the truth before the kettle clicks. She picked up her phone and opened Spotify. Our cursor blinked on a shared playlist named Asterisk Stay Loud Asterisk Asterisk. She added a track with a stupid title that made me roll my eyes and then kiss her forehead. I added one with a guitar she hates and she laughed anyway. We pressed play at the same time. We stayed in the kitchen and danced on 4 tiles like people trying to convince the house to keep us. The next week, we showed up to a community center gym where the lights believe in honesty more than mood, and let a woman with a whistle teach us a box step. I stepped on her foot. She made that good sound that means try again. I'm not leaving. We ate cheap noodles and steamed our faces in the window and talked about nothing like it was rare. We sat on the bench by the river and let the water perform Europe for us without correcting its accent. Not every night was good. Some nights were skidding tires, some were beige. I found myself checking the devices available list more often than I should. Once I saw an unfamiliar speaker name, Crown 714 asterisk, and felt the old floor tilt under my stomach. Then I realized it was a screenshot from an article about hotel security I'd left open and laughed until I felt ridiculous enough to be human. There were small, dumb victories. She sent a screenshot of a text to Aaron that ended with "I'm out." I deleted his name from the blocked list, not because I wanted to be magnanimous, but because the list had begun to feel like a museum. We made track 4 a running joke. When a song came on we couldn't stand, we said, "Ah, track 4, and kissed like thieves in a hardware store aisle. A month later, I tapped the device's icon on reflex and saw only the things that live with us: living room, kitchen, bedroom. I put the phone away and listened to my chest, which had been trying to play something decent all evening. Eva walked in with 2 spoons and the expensive yogurt she calls dessert when she's pretending discipline is a hobby. "What do you want tonight?" she asked, and this is how you know we were doing it right. She didn't mean food or Netflix or metaphors. She meant what part of me wanted to be witnessed. "Track 4, I said, and she groaned and kissed me anyway. Sometimes late, my phone still shows a device at the bottom of the list with a name that sounds like a room. I don't press it. I press play on whatever we chose on purpose. We're not saints. We're specific. Some evenings were a mess that dances. Other evenings were a list taped to the fridge behind a magnet shaped like a tomato. Both are marriages. Both are true. And when the lark's birds show up in someone else's photo as a backdrop for their expensive night, I allow myself one breath to remember the balcony and the way numbers can be doors. Then I look across the couch at the woman whose laugh is track 1 and track forever, and I say the actual sentence I've been trying to say since the app tried to narrate our lives. Play here.